All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our video on how to update. In this video, what I want to do is I want to go over how you can go about updating Axibo. Now, the reason that I think it's important to do a video for this is that the update process is a little bit complex because we want to update, everything in Axibo. You won't really have to do much, but if you do something wrong, it might not work very well. So this is going to be kind of a tutorial, on how to go through that. This process takes 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't take very long. And you can, just do it at home. So what we'll do is I'll give you guys a walk through the process. We'll see, the new update. We'll see everything get loaded, and then while the update's, installing, I'll just ramble on for a bit, which you guys can totally skip through, to the end of the video just to see, how everything went. All right. So to start off, what I want to do is I want to go and I want to explain a little bit about Axibo. One quick thing is that Axibo is very different from a lot of other devices because it is a networked device. And this means that we can connect to Wi-Fi networks, we can connect to Ethernet networks, and like you guys know, if you've already been using Axibo, it creates a hotspot, which is a Wi-Fi network that we use to connect to it and control it. Now, in order for Axibo to access our update servers, it needs connection to the internet. So this will not work through the hotspot. So if you normally connect through the hotspot, you can connect through the hotspot to do this, but you're also going to need to connect to a network that has internet access as well. So that's one thing that you guys are going to want to do, and I'll walk you through how we can do that right now. So what we're looking at right now is the old settings page, and if we take a look, one of the things we can do is we can connect to a network, and this is here we can have our old networks, or we can create a new connection. Now with the new connection, all we have to do is we select which network we want to connect to, we enter the password, and then we hit connect. And then if it's connected successfully, it's going to display over here how its connection is and the strength of the signal that it's connected to. I'm at the back of the shop area right now, pretty far away from the Wi-Fi. So my signal is not that great, but that's okay. It'll still work for the updating process. So before you get going, you're going to want to make sure that you've done that. Now, if you're not connected to the internet, that's okay, because Axibo is just going to say when you go to check for updates, it'll give you an error that you aren't able to do anything. Okay, so before we get started, what we can do is make sure that our Axibo is set up properly. So what you can see is that I've got my Axibo behind me here. Now, although it's not shown, I also have a slider attached to it as well here. And that's very important for this update. So if you use your Axibo with the slider, you're going to want to attach the slider to the unit as well. Now the reason for that is because, actually, you know what, no, forget the reasons. I'll explain the reasons while it's updating. Right now I'm just going to tell you how to update, and then we can get into that stuff later. So yeah, I've got the Axibo plugged in. I've got Ethernet connected to mine as well, which we can also use to update. So if you've got a router, like just an Ethernet router in your home or office or wherever you're updating, you can just plug that straight into Axibo. And sorry, that's not the Ethernet cable. This is the Ethernet cable. And you can plug that straight into your Axibo, into the Ethernet port, and you can update it that way. That's another way that Axibo gets internet. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll click the check for updates button. You can see that we're going from version 1.1 to 1.3. So 1.30 is our current version. This includes the app. This includes the new access point stuff. This includes just all kinds of improvements. What we can do is we can click Perform Update. Now, before we do this, it's very important to make sure that you have enough power and you are set up to have Axibo left on for about 10 minutes. It has to download the update. It has to do a bunch of stuff inside of itself in order to make the update happen. And so if you're going off batteries, check that your batteries are freshly charged. But if you're going off power, you should be fine. There's no worries. If the update fails for some reason, I'll explain a little more during, but all you have to do is power cycle your Axibo and you can try again. All right, so we're going to perform our update. It's going to ask us if we want to update, and we're going to say yes to that. So now Axibo is in the process of updating. Now, you wouldn't really know it because this is our older UI, and the new interface in the new app, things are a lot different. But what we can do is, as the process goes on, we can click this check for updates button. And what that'll do is it'll tell us what Axibo is actually doing. Now this process is going to take probably about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your internet connection. We'll see, maybe we'll get to the first step. You can keep clicking this button and it's going to update as it goes through the process. The first main thing it does is download the big package. So you might not see an update for a little while here. So we'll just keep checking for updates. Yeah, okay, so why do you need to have everything plugged in? Well, this is really interesting. There's software that actually runs on every single unit of Axibo. And it's one of the things that helps us to do really cool things, like really good waypoints, fast movement, smooth movement, and then also a lot of our silent stuff. So inside of these units, there's actually some software that runs, and we're updating that as well. That's very important because it fixes bugs. It makes it so that the unit actually has a little more power because we've done a better job of temperature management. So there's a lot of cool stuff. Let's check for updates again real quick. Okay, so you can see now we're at 10%. So it's probably downloaded everything it needs to, and it's starting to work on the update process. One of the other things that it's also doing, and one of the reasons that this update takes a little while, is that we're installing a lot of the tools that are going to be used for a lot of the future Axibo ecosystem. So other parts of Axibo that we're working on building include a focus automation system. So this pairs with our focus motor and uses a LiDAR laser system in order to give you dynamic focus control in video. And this is stuff that you can't really do with autofocus because you can also pair it with the tracking software, which is really cool. One of the other things as well that's coming with this update is we also have improved tracking. So if you guys have been using our tracking features, you're going to notice that they've gotten a lot better. We have things that allow you to switch between different people. You can track other objects. Let's check for updates again. Okay, so I think it's still running away. You can also refresh your browser in this process if you want to. And you can just go back and check for updates again. You may see this message during the process as well. That's okay. It just means it's something that happens during the update. One of the other things, especially if you're newer to using Axibo, is that if there have been major changes and you're using the same phone or using the same browser all the time, you may want to do a hard refresh. You only really need to ever do this once, and you can hit Control-Shift-R to do that. Okay, so you guys are going to notice that something has changed, but the update is not finished. Okay, so what you'll see is that the UI, the interface that we're looking at right now, has completely changed. This is part of the update process. This is the first step. But what you can see if we look at our update progress is that it's still running. We're still updating. The progress is still only 35%. So what we want to do is we want to kind of keep an eye on that and just make sure that it goes through the whole process and make sure that it gets updated correctly. I will, in a minute, go through and explain some of the things that are on the UI. But one of the things that I want to talk about first is what if your update fails? So first of all, how are you going to know it fails? Well, your Axibo, it might act a little funny when you're trying to move it around. Or the main indicator is that in the updater section, it's not going to say version 1.3. It's going to say version 1.1 or whatever version that you're on. So if that's the case, we have this force update button here. Now the force update button is used when something has gone wrong. And in this case, what it does is it just runs the update system again, so that if anything was missed or if anything failed during the updating process, we can still force update it. So it prevents the unit from kind of getting locked up during the updater, during the update process. So that's something that is, hopefully you won't need, but if you're on a weak internet connection or if you accidentally power cycle your Axibo, you can use the force updater, in order to make it, update again. Okay, so while we're waiting for this updater, what we can do is we can take a little look around and see what's going on. So you'll notice that this page looks mostly the same. There's going to be some changes and some upgrades, along the way to how we edit points and how we change keyframe speeds, as well as the number of key points we can add. It's almost infinite now. We can add a lot of keyframes. It's not limited to 6, like on some other products. We also have, and you'll notice the camera feed's not going right now, and that's because the camera module itself is also being updated. So you can see that there's a lot of changes to the tracking page as well. And if you guys watched the previous video where I went over the app, you can see what some of these features actually do. And then finally, if we go to the settings page, you can see now we're also getting this notification that says, it wants us to, just wait while Axibo is updating. And I think it's actually locked me, to not do anything on the app. So I guess we kind of just have to wait for it. You can also see in the top right-hand corner, you can see a little bit of information about our network connections as well. And I think this is a good time to explain, how networking can make, your system and your experience, a lot easier. Now, this might not really apply if you're using Axibos for a lot of the time-lapse and photography features, because maybe you're not in a studio, or maybe you're not in an area that has network, and this stuff's not as important. But if you're doing, product photography, if you're doing any type of streaming, stuff like that, it can be very handy to network your devices instead of using the access point that's on Axibo. Now, the access point's really cool because you can use that anywhere. It's very much like Bluetooth, except you can move data over it a lot faster too. That's actually a good question. Why didn't we use Bluetooth? Well, the reason that Axibo isn't Bluetooth powered is because we wanted to be able to stream a lot of video data, which is very, very challenging to do well over Bluetooth. And if you go and look at Axibo, we stream our camera feed. We also stream the HDMI feed, and in the future we're going to stream more data related to the focus system as well. So that's one of the reasons we use Wi-Fi in the first place. But anyway, if you're in a studio, what I would recommend is that you don't really use the hotspot, mainly because you're going to have to turn, you have to change the Wi-Fi on your phone or your laptop, and it takes a while. It's kind of annoying to do. And what you can do instead is you can just connect it. Oh, we've completed. Nice. What you can do is you can just connect it to the network instead, your local network, and whether that's over Ethernet or whether that's over Wi-Fi, it makes the system a lot more reliable. So what you'll notice here is that, I hope my video feed's not blocking that. What you'll notice there is that, the Axibo has a local Wi-Fi IP address and an Ethernet IP address. And if you just type that into your browser, you'll be able to go to that IP address and just access Axibo like you would as if you're connected to the hotspot. And this is super, super useful because you can just leave your Axibo on. You can, just walk in and it's ready to go if you have it powered in. So that if you're doing product photography and you don't want to set everything up again, you can just leave it there, and you don't have to connect back to the hotspot. When your phone connects to your office Wi-Fi or the studio Wi-Fi, you're good to go. So that's something that's super handy. That's generally how we do things. And a lot of bigger studios that we work with, they do the same thing. They don't really use the hotspot. They just connect Axibo over Ethernet or over Wi-Fi, and then they can connect to multiple ones at the same time, which is also a really, really great feature. If you have more than one camera in use, which is especially good for streaming. Okay, so let's refresh the page, and we can do Control-Shift-R as well if we want. So that's just to make sure that we do a hard refresh. Basically, web browsers cache data to make things move faster. You guys might be aware of this. They cache data to make things move faster, and we just want to remove that cache and then start again and start fresh. So you can see down here, we're at version 1.3. My video might be covering up that. I just realized that. You can see all the new features. You can see me, hello, in the camera. You should be able to use everything that's available to you guys now. So please follow along. Again, if it fails, just power cycle Axibo. I don't know how long this video was, but that's probably as long as you're going to wait, for the unit to update. The forcing update you probably won't have to do it. We've tested the updater many times, and I don't think we've ever had to force update unless we've pulled the power supply while it's updating. So I think that's going to work out pretty well. You'll also notice, sorry for the tangent, we've got, you can set the video resolutions as well now. One of the things that I would caution you about is that if you notice your UI, your user experience is not responsive, reduce the video resolution. Chances are that if you put it high and you have bad Wi-Fi, or there's a lot of Wi-Fi networks, or the network's just no good, the higher resolutions are going to slow down your experience. You'll even have trouble maybe jogging Axibo as well. So, when you want to move it, it may be difficult to move as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, the most important thing is if you guys do get stuck in the update process, just either ping myself or ping Sahib on Discord, and we'll totally help you out and help you figure things out. Yeah, good luck with the update. Bye for now.